Good morning everyone and welcome to another podcast. Firstly, apologies for the lack of podcast over the last month or so. It's very cold this morning. It's bitterly cold. In fact, it's not been above freezing really for the last day or two. Looking up at the hills, white over with snow, and I think I'm just gonna fish a pool or two today. I'm in one of my favourite winter pools. The river is up considerably, so I'm not sure how today will go. If I can get to some fish, if there's some here, they should be relatively easy to catch. But the issue is, as always, is getting the fly to the fish. River's about 25-30 feet across here in this flow here. It's up probably 2 or 3 feet on its normal level. And the banks are just bitten with frost, white over. Everything's died back now. You can see there's a buddleia that struggled to keep going a little bit, and the purple, the usually purple fronds are now just dead and black and drooping over the river. Some of them are just in the river, kind of bouncing around in the flow. Everything's died back. There's not really a leaf on the tree. The only green really is the ivy growing up the trunks of the trees on the bank. As to what fly to use today, I'm trying to vary things a bit from the last podcast, but I'm going to have to go with the killer bug again. So I've tied on a killer bug, size 12. Got my usual 9-foot 4-weight outfit with 9 or 10 feet of leader. About 4 pounds breaking strain on the tippet, which should cope with any of the snags if I get down to the bottom. Pool's changed considerably to what it usually is. Normally there's a distinct current streams running in, and know where the fish generally be, but it's just one big flow at the minute. So I'm not sure if this killer bug's going to get down enough, but I'll have a run up with the killer bug, and maybe if it doesn't, I'll put on a really heavy check nymph and try and dredge that along the bottom. Normally I would just use my braided loop for a strike indicator, but given the flow today and the glare on the water, I've pinched on a little sticky orange strike indicator just next to the braided loop. It's not going to set any depth for the nymph or anything. It's just purely for me to be able to pick out the line on the glare on this water. So wading stick in hand, I can feel the nip already on the toes here, so I'm going to get fishing. Start off with a casting over to the right bank, I think, and see how we do. Let's just get a bit of line out. I'm casting 15-20 feet up and just going to prospect across from right to left. I think everything depends today whether the fish are up and about in this flow and feeding, or whether the extra water's just put them down, and we really don't know until we get into it. I'm not really too concerned about the temperature, even though it's freezing cold, because the grayling will feed even in the really cold weather, and I've had some cracking days in this very pool in the past on very cold days, so that doesn't really bother me. It's more to do with the levels and whether it's disturbed them at all. I probably could have managed without the strike indicator. It's just the water's very choppy. There's a lot of glare on the water, and just the stick on orange just focuses the eye and draws the eye in. Casting from the right to left, so I've now come round, so I'm casting pretty much straight upstream now. I think if this doesn't work, it's a double tungsten beaded pink shrimp is the backup plan. This will be obviously the last podcast of 2020. and I'm sure, like many of you, will be glad to see the back of it. It's been a strange old year. In terms of fishing, it's been really strange because although obviously the lockdowns and the tears and the problems we've had, actually fishing has had a resurgence this year. A lot more people staying in the UK who may have gone on holiday, looking for something to do that gets them into the outdoors, that's naturally socially distant. So all forms of fishing have seen a real resurgence, and fly fishing is just one of them. So it's been a strange year. On one hand, we've been busy, and it's been, a lot of people wanting to buy flies and maybe have a lesson or two to get them started. And while we're doing all that, and kind of all the strangeness carrying on around us. Right, I'm moving to a few side steps to my left now, so I'm about mid-river. Just watching this strike indicator come down nicely, and obviously any little stops in the orange will strike. Oh, there was a little stop. In fact, I said a few minutes ago I probably could have managed to do it without it, and now I'm incredibly glad I've got it on, because I'm just losing sight of the line in this glare completely. But that little orange stick on is standing out beautifully, even at quite a distance. And I'm putting a long cast out now because I really want this nymph to get down, and I really want to cover a lot of water as well. So I'm putting a fairly long cast out in this heavy water conditions. I don't know if many of you have done more or less fishing this year. I know with people furloughed and being told to stay off work, and a lot of people who've found themselves with a bit of extra time on the hands that's been unseen have put their time into fishing. And I see quite a few people who I know are busy tying flies at the minute through winter if they're not out on the rivers or some of the reservoirs for the stock rainbows, or the rivers for Grayling, obviously, which we're after today. Yes, there we are. Took very close into me. Saw the strike indicator move and struck and we're in. Only problem is it's gone slightly downstream of me in this flow, but it doesn't feel the world's biggest fish, so I should be able to get it back up. Here we are. Come on. Come on. Over the net we come, please. There we go. Oops, lovely. Beautiful grayling. As usual with the barbless fly, the hook has just fallen out in the net, and we'll slip that little one back. It was probably, I don't know, just under half a pound. Lovely. Let's check the fly, and then so I was probably casting, I'm casting here 25 feet upstream, and I think that took about must have been just under the rod tip. So lovely start. I know I've said it before, there's something about being out at this time of year, for me anyways, is on par with the very best of spring trout fishing. And I've had this discussion many times, and I know that many people disagree with me, and that's fine. But I think it's that feeling that you're stealing an hour. Oh, there we go, in again there. Lovely, lovely. Same place. It is a cracking winter pool, this. Oh, this one's really going downstream of me. Oh, it's off. I knew that was going to happen. The water's really gushing through, and I straight away it got downstream of me, and about 20 feet downstream me is a weir, and obviously I can't let it get down there, so I had to stop it and bully it. Came to the surface, started to twist, and it was only a matter of time before it twisted itself off. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so being out this time of year, I think it's the fact that you're kind of stealing a bit of time, you know, while everyone else is tucked up inside in front of the fire, you're kind of stealing an hour or two. And to get into a fish in really cold conditions where all the banks are barren and it looks like there's no life in the river, it's just wonderful. And then I think it's the fish themselves, the grayling, you know, the wild fish, the most beautiful colours. And something really special about a winter grayling. And don't get me wrong, I love my spring trout fishing, you know, when the flies are hatching and the fish are rising, you know, the smell of the wild garlic on the banks, and I love all that. There's just something about being out in the depth of winter that I find particularly enjoyable. But that said, I think it's because I'm a winter person generally. It's my favourite season. I like the weather. I'm a bit miserable like that, really. Right, back to the fishing. I've not really moved actually for the past 5 or 10 minutes. I've had one landed one, lost one. So I'm just going to keep really working the water in front of me until it feels like there's nothing else wanting to take. Oh, missed that one. See, I was thinking this morning, because I think remember right on the last podcast, which was a couple of months ago now, I was fishing pretty much the same upstream killer bug, grayling, and there's always the danger of repeating yourself, but I thought, oh, could I fish a duo maybe, you know, with the hanging a nymph under the clinking dink, and then with the river up so much and the temperature, it's kind of, well, not really. I want to be getting down towards the bottom, and in this flood really it needs something heavy. And I was going through thinking of all the other nymphs we could use, little tungsten beaded pheasant tails or copperheads, or, you know, all the great variety of little fancy little grayling nymphs and jigs and even French and Euro nymphing. But then I've just got sucked back into simple upstream killer bug because it just catches so many fish. Right, so I've probed this water for a good 20 or 30 casts probably. I'm just going to slowly sort of sidestep into the left and start covering the left hand side of the pool. It's deeper over to this left hand side, but the advantage is now, with it being everything's died back on the banks, that normally there's a big fringe of vegetation that hangs over where you need to get your fly in it, unless you're absolutely perfect with a cast, inch perfect, you get tangled up and then you've got to wade into the area you're fishing to retrieve your fly. But as it's all died back, that's not there anymore, so it's a lot easier to actually present the fly. There we are. Oh, this feels a lot better. Oh, it's off. Oh, that was one of them heart-stopping moments there. Let's have a look at the fly. So I just took one side step to the left just to try a different line in front of me, and the little orange sticky just stopped and I struck and the rod arched over, and in all honesty I thought that was the bottom. I really did. And then the bottom started to move, and that was a good fish. It really was. Oh, shot away again there. Well, they're really on the feed anyway. They're obviously this rise we've had hasn't put them down, squirreled them around the rocks. They're up and feeding and prepared to move off the bottom left and right and up and down a bit to have a feed. So they are, when they're seeing this killer bug, they're hammering it. Can't get that fish out of my head. There we are, I'm in again. Right, this one, I'm not going to let it get downstream of me. And get on the net quick. Bring it up quick. And that is a beauty. That's a nice grayling. That's £1.5. It's a real nice specimen. So not only are they out on the feed, but some of the big ones are. I really bullied that one. That's the reason I've put I think it's 4 point something pound tippet on today. Quite often, if I'm fishing this river in a spring, the trout, or fishing low flows, it'd be maybe £3, quite fine. I think this is 4.5 or something like that, but just with this extra flow we've got, and the need to bully the fish sometimes to get them where you need to quickly, especially with barbless hooks, especially with the grayling, the way they twist in the current. That's why I've gone a bit extra. Excellent. That's a nice fish. That makes up a little bit for the one that felt like a sack of spuds. Lovely. Right, I'll stay here for a bit longer. Keep casting upstream. Can't really feel my toes, but this is too much fun at the minute. We'll keep going. That's also the nice thing about these rods that, shall we say, are more designed for river fishing with a bit more of a forgiving action, is that when you do get into a fish that you need to play hard, you get a really nice bend in them, and it just absorbs that shock and the twists and the bumps at close range, and allows you just to heave them a little bit more. Here we go. This is a nice one again. Another good fish. Well, it's turning into another winter red letter day today. Come on, there we are. It's pretty much the same size as the last one, maybe slightly smaller. It's probably just about £1. It is a lovely winter pool, this. There we are. Right, slip that one back. There she goes. Excuse the groaning. I've got that many layers on that it's trouble getting my arm up to put my net back on the magnetic clip, like the Michelin man. Right, cast upstream. Simple fishing. Cast upstream. Gather the slack line as it comes back towards you, leaving a tiny bit of slack So you get a dead drift of fly, so the fly is just tumbling down with the current, sinking as it comes. And then when you see that take, at the minute, is striking hard, firmly into the fish, really getting a bend in that rod and not messing about getting that fish in. And just remembering not to let it go behind me and get downstream. There we go. And again, there's an absolute pocket of fish in front of me now. There we are, slightly smaller. Well, and I was in two minds whether to come out today or not. I think for me, I'm going to get much better than this. Right, in again. I've lost count now. Is that 4 to the net? Here we are, in again. It's a fisher cast now. Come on. Can't keep up. Come on, in you go. There we are. They're obviously shoaled up down there. All tangled up with my wading stick. Oh, just sort myself out for a minute. I've never really got myself sorted after the past couple of fish. So the wading sticks all tangled up and the nets wrapped around my forceps. Let me just take a minute and sort myself out, I think. In this river, these are by far the best conditions for grayling fishing. Wait until you've had 2 or 3 really, really hard frosts and just fish the pools with the nymphs or check nymphs. And once you find them shoaled up like this and they're feeding, I think also today we're benefiting from a falling river. So it's one of them, you imagine a graph where all the lines meet up at a point which is good for fishing. You've got river levels, temperature, time of year. All those things are on a positive, so that's why I'm catching so many. I guess like anything really, it's I know I say the technique's simple, but a lot of it will come down to knowing where to fish, won't it really? And if you can get to know your waters a bit, and I've spent years and years working the rivers around me, learning the different pools and which fish good in spring, which fish good in summer, which are good grayling pools for winter. And you kind of build up all that knowledge over time, and then you get a day like today and there was no real decision about where I should be fishing. It was straight away, it was I call it the winter grayling pool really in my head. Right, see if anything else wants to grab this. I think it's that 3 or 4 without moving now. I've still got about 10 foot to wade sidestep to my left, and I can fish up that channel, and then it'll be a case of probably taking 2 or 3 paces upriver, and there's still a good 40 foot of water in front of me. Oh, a little bit of a movement there, but so I think I will take a side step to the left now. I'm just putting a bit of mucilin on my line, this fly line on this reel's a little bit tired, so it started to just on the edge of needing replacing. I'll replace it for ready for the trout in spring, but just in the turbulent water it's just starting to dip a little bit at the end, so a couple of rubs of mucilin grease gives it another 15-20 minutes. Well, I'm just sidestepping to my left now. I can really feel the river deepening up. Really does deepen up here on this left. There's a deep channel. It's chilly. Oh, shall we put it? I'm up to the proverbials, and I'm not going to stay here too long. Just going to run it down here a few times. My killer bug's not going to get down to the what I'd call the real feeding zone in this channel here. It's more of a check nymph in a place to check nymph, but with the way the fish are feeding at the minute, they are moving about, so there's always a chance one's going to see this running down and streak off the bottom and nobble it. Right, a few paces up I think, and then I'm going to work my way from left to right. Try not to fall in today, because of all the days to fall in, today's not going to be a good one. I try and save my falling in for summer. Of course, one of the oh, where we are, we're in a bit smaller at this time, I think. Oh, it's off. Right, I've waded up the pool a little bit further, and I'm not going to be long finished, I think. Just have a few more casts and see if there's anything towards the head of the pool that fancies saying hello. Keep casting upstream, so where I'm fishing now normally is the riffle, which is quite shallow, but there's a couple of feet of water coming over it. Just see if anything's at home up there, and then I think we'll call it a day. There we go, straight away. Smaller one this time. And again, it's got downstream of me as I'm fumbling with my net. So now I've got the flow of the river plus the fish. Lovely, there she is. Slip her back. Right, drop another cast in. Oh, missed that one. On and off that one was. Well, the fish are just everywhere in this pool. Absolutely everywhere. I think I've lost count of what I've had now, actually. Right, last few casts for me, I think. Maybe see if I can just sneak one more. If not, I'm not going to get greedy today. It's been a wonderful day, well, hours grayling fishing. Right, last cast. Drop it right to the top of the pool and let's run this one down, and then that'll be done. No, nothing doing. Well, like I say, I'm not going to get greedy. It's been a tremendous hour or so's fishing, and a lovely morning to be out. My feet are starting to go as well, so time to wind in and I think get that old stove fired up when I get in. Thank you so much for listening again, and I hope 2021 turns out to be a bit of a better year for everybody. To find out more about our fly fishing lessons, please visit www.peaksflyfishing.com, or for our fishing flies and tackle, it's shop.peaksflyfishing.com. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.